Before the sun rises over your worries, before the noise of the world calls your name, I am already here. I am your light in the darkness you have not spoken about. I am your salvation in battles you think you must fight alone. Why do you let fear whisper louder than my voice? Why do you tremble at shadows when I stand beside you in power? Today, as you awaken, I call you into my presence. I call you out of anxiety, out of doubt, out of the prison of what if. I am your stronghold. I am your refuge. When enemies rise, when uncertainty surrounds you, when the future feels unclear, remember this: you are not standing alone. I go before you. I stand behind you. I dwell within you. Come closer. Fix your eyes on me. Let fearless faith rise in your heart. For in my presence fear cannot survive. I am your light. When the darkness tries to convince you that you are lost, that the path ahead is too confusing, that the weight you carry is too heavy, remember that darkness has never overcome my light. You measure your strength by your own ability, but I measure your life by my power within you. When fear whispers, it is not speaking truth. It is speaking possibility without my promise. But my promise stands firm. I did not create you to live intimidated by circumstances. I did not breathe life into you so you would bow before anxiety. I am your salvation. That means deliverance does not depend on your strategy. Rescue does not depend on your perfection. Freedom does not depend on your past. It depends on me. You wake up thinking about responsibilities, challenges, and the expectations of others. But before all of that, think of me. I am already present in your today. I have already seen the conversations you will have. I know the obstacles that will attempt to stand in your way. I understand the silent struggles in your heart that you have not shared with anyone. And I am not surprised by any of it. Fear grows when you imagine a future without my involvement. Faith grows when you remember that I am already in your tomorrow. Why do you fear what cannot overpower me? Why do you hesitate when I have declared you secure? Even when opposition surrounds you, even when it feels like many are against you, I remain your defense. You see numbers, I see authority. You see obstacles, I see opportunity for my glory. You see weakness, I see a vessel ready for my strength. Fear attempts to magnify the problem, but my presence magnifies peace. You have faced battles before. Some were visible, others were hidden in your thoughts. There were nights when worry kept you awake and days when uncertainty followed you like a shadow. Yet you are still here. Not because you are invincible, but because I have been faithful. The same hand that carried you through yesterday will sustain you today. I do not change with circumstances. I do not weaken when pressure increases. I am constant. When you declare that I am your light, you are declaring that confusion will not control you. When you say, I am your salvation, you are proclaiming that defeat is not your destiny. This is not blind optimism. This is trust rooted in my character. I am not a distant observer. I am a present help. I am not silent in your struggle. I am working even when you cannot see movement. Some of you fear failure. You fear rejection. You fear the unknown outcome of situations that matter deeply to you. But fear is a poor guide. It will always exaggerate danger and minimize my power. It will tell you that you are alone, that you are incapable, that you are not enough. Yet I have never called you to be enough on your own. I have called you to rely on me. My strength is perfected in what you call weakness. When enemies rise, whether they are external critics or internal doubts, stand firm. You do not stand in your own authority. You stand in mine. I am your stronghold. A stronghold is not easily shaken. It is not moved by every storm. It does not collapse because of loud threats. When you anchor yourself in my presence, fear loses its foundation. Do not let your heart be troubled by what you see. The world around you shifts constantly. News changes, opinions change, circumstances change, but I remain the same. My promises do not expire. My protection does not weaken. My love does not fluctuate based on your performance. When you feel overwhelmed, pause and remember who I am. I know the moments when your courage feels small. I see when you try to be strong for others while quietly wrestling with your own doubts. I hear the prayers you barely whisper. I understand the tears you wipe away quickly, and I am near. My presence is not reserved for perfect days. It is most powerful in uncertain ones. Choose to seek me first, not as a last resort after fear has exhausted you, but as your first response. When you fix your gaze on me, distractions lose their grip. When you dwell in my presence, confidence grows naturally. It is not forced bravado. It is quiet assurance. It is the steady heartbeat of faith that says, "If God is with me, I will not be shaken." You do not need to predict every outcome. You do not need to control every detail. Release that burden. It was never yours to carry. Trust that I am working behind scenes you cannot access. Trust that delays are not denials. Trust that closed doors are not abandonment. I guide you even when the path curves in ways you did not expect. There will be moments when fear attempts to return. It will try to replay past disappointments. It will attempt to remind you of times when things did not go as planned. But you must answer fear with truth. Speak my promises over your life. Declare that I am your light. Declare that I am your salvation. Declare that I am your stronghold. Let your faith be louder than your fear. I do not promise a life without challenges, but I promise my presence within them. I promise strength when you feel weak. I promise peace that surpasses understanding. I promise that no weapon formed against you will ultimately prevail. When you walk into this day, walk knowing that I walk with you. Even if your heart trembles, come closer. Even if your voice shakes, call my name. I do not turn away from fragile faith. I nurture it. I strengthen it. I build courage in you step by step. As you trust me daily, confidence becomes your habit. Faith becomes your reflex. Fear loses its authority. Remember that you are not defined by what threatens you. You are defined by who sustains you. And I sustain you. I uphold you. I surround you. Let this morning be different. Let it be marked not by anxiety but by assurance, not by hesitation but by boldness rooted in me. Lift your eyes above your circumstances. Fix them on my faithfulness. Let gratitude replace worry. Let worship silence fear. Let my presence become your dwelling place. When you remain in me, you are secure. When you trust in me, you are strengthened. When you walk with me, you are fearless, not because nothing can oppose you, but because nothing can separate you from my power and my love. I am your stronghold. When the ground beneath you feels unstable, when circumstances shift without warning, when the voices around you grow loud with doubt and accusation, I remain your unshakable refuge. You look at the size of the battle and measure it against your own strength. And that is why fear tries to take hold. But you were never meant to fight in your own strength. You were never meant to carry the weight of uncertainty alone. I am your fortress. I am your defense. I am the place where chaos cannot rule and fear cannot dominate. You have faced moments when opposition seemed greater than your ability. There were times when doors closed unexpectedly, when relationships strained under pressure, when responsibilities piled higher than your confidence. In those moments, you felt exposed, vulnerable, unsure of how things would unfold. But even then, I was your covering. Even then, I was your shield. You may not have seen the protection, but you experienced the preservation. You are still standing because I have been your stronghold. A stronghold is not a fragile shelter that collapses in a storm. It is built to withstand impact. It is designed to endure attack. When you choose to trust me, you are choosing to stand inside a fortress that cannot be breached by fear. The storms may rage outside, but they cannot destroy what I am sustaining. The enemy may attempt to intimidate you, but intimidation loses its power when you remember who fights for you. There are battles you see clearly: financial pressures, health concerns, conflicts at work or within your family. Then there are battles hidden within your thoughts, insecurities, doubts, regrets, and silent anxieties. I am your stronghold in both. I guard your heart. I steady your mind. I remind you of truth when lies attempt to take root. You do not need to pretend that battles do not exist. You only need to remember that they do not have the final word. When uncertainty surrounds you, your instinct is often to control. You want to predict outcomes, to secure every detail, to ensure that nothing goes wrong. But control is not your stronghold. I am. When you cling tightly to outcomes, fear increases. When you release them into my hands, peace rises. Trust is not weakness. It is strength anchored in my reliability. You may not know how everything will unfold, but you can know me. And knowing me is greater than knowing the future. You sometimes think that strength means never feeling afraid. But courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to trust me in the presence of fear. When your heart beats fast and your thoughts race, come into my presence. Speak my promises. Remind yourself that I have never failed you. I have never abandoned you in battle. I have never withdrawn my protection when circumstances intensified. Even when you walked through seasons that felt like loss, I was guarding you from destruction you could not see. Even when something did not turn out the way you hoped, I was redirecting you towards something greater. You may not always understand my ways in the moment, but you can trust my heart. My intentions toward you are good. My plans are not fragile, they are secure. When others misunderstand you, when criticism feels sharp, when betrayal wounds deeply, remember that I am your refuge. You do not need to defend yourself against every voice. I am your defender. You do not need to retaliate in anger. I am your justice. Stand firm in integrity, and let me be your stronghold. Vengeance belongs to me. Vindication comes from me. There will be days when the battle feels prolonged. You will wonder why relief has not yet arrived. You will question whether breakthrough is near. In those moments, do not step outside of my covering. Do not abandon trust because the timeline feels longer than you expected. A stronghold is most valuable when pressure increases. Stay within my presence. Stay rooted in my word. Stay anchored in faith. I strengthen you from the inside. I build resilience in your spirit. I teach your heart to remain steady when circumstances fluctuate. Every challenge you face becomes an opportunity to discover how secure you truly are in me. The enemy hopes that pressure will cause you to retreat in fear. But when you stand firm in trust, pressure only reveals the depth of your foundation. You are not defined by the battles you face. You are defined by the one who protects you. When you remember that I am your stronghold, confidence replaces panic. Assurance replaces anxiety. You begin to walk differently, not because challenges disappear, but because you know you are guarded. Look back at your life and see the evidence of my protection. There were situations that could have destroyed you, yet you survived. There were mistakes that could have disqualified you, Yet you were restored. There were seasons of uncertainty that could have broken your spirit, yet you emerged stronger. That was not chance. That was my hand. Do not let temporary circumstances convince you of permanent defeat. Battles are temporary. My faithfulness is permanent. Opposition is temporary. My authority is eternal. You may feel pressure today, but pressure cannot overpower my purpose for you. The plans I have for you are not easily overturned. What I have spoken over your life will not return empty. When you feel surrounded, remember that I surround what surrounds you. When you feel attacked, remember that I stand between you and destruction. When you feel weak, remember that my strength is made perfect in weakness. You are not called to be self-sufficient. You are called to be God-dependent. Rest in me, not with passivity, but with confidence. Act with wisdom. Speak with grace. Move forward with courage. But do it knowing that you are covered. Do it knowing that you are protected. Do it knowing that the outcome is in my hands. Even if the battle intensifies, do not let your heart be shaken. I am not intimidated by what intimidates you. I am not surprised by what surprises you. I see the beginning and the end. I know the strategy that will bring victory. Your role is to trust. Your role is to remain faithful. Your role is to stand firm. I am your stronghold in every season, when you feel victorious and when you feel vulnerable, when you are confident and when you are uncertain, when answers come quickly and when you must wait. My protection does not fluctuate with your emotions. My covering does not weaken when your faith feels small. Come into my presence daily. Let prayer be your refuge. Let worship be your reminder. Let my word be your shield. Build your life on the foundation of who I am. When storms strike, you will not collapse. When winds blow, you will not be uprooted. When threats rise, you will not surrender. You do not need to fight for victory alone. Victory flows from my authority. Stand in me, trust in me, remain in me, and let every battle you face become a testimony of my strength within you. When you seek my presence daily, you are not performing a ritual. You are positioning your heart within the place where confidence is formed. You often search for reassurance in outcomes, in approval, in visible signs that everything will work in your favor. But unshakable confidence does not grow from circumstances aligning perfectly. It grows from closeness with me. When you draw near to me, you begin to see differently. You begin to think differently. You begin to stand differently. Many wake up and immediately allow the world to define their emotional direction. News, messages, responsibilities, and expectations rush in before a single moment is given to me. Then anxiety increases, comparison grows, and peace feels distant. But when you seek me first, you shift the foundation of your day. Instead of reacting to pressure, you respond from presence. Instead of scrambling for control, you rest in trust. My presence is not complicated. It is not reserved for the perfect or the eloquent. It is available to the sincere heart. When you pause in the morning and acknowledge me, when you whisper a prayer before stepping into your responsibilities, when you open your heart in honesty instead of pretending strength, you are entering into a place of security. In my presence, fear loses its exaggeration. Problems lose their illusion of supremacy. You sometimes believe that confidence comes from talent, preparation, or experience. While those things have value, they are not the source of unshakable courage. There are moments when even the most prepared feel uncertain. There are situations that experience cannot predict. But when you have spent time with me, you carry an inner steadiness that is not dependent on how things look externally. You carry assurance that I am guiding you. Seeking me daily shapes your perspective. Instead of seeing obstacles as final, you see them as temporary. Instead of viewing opposition as proof of failure, you recognize it as part of growth. Instead of assuming silence means abandonment, you trust that I am working beyond what you can hear. Time with me recalibrates your thoughts. It quiets the noise that tries to define you. You do not need hours of perfect devotion to build this confidence. You need consistency. A heart that continually turns toward me becomes anchored. Just as roots grow deeper when watered daily, your faith grows stronger when you consistently dwell in my presence. Over time, you will notice that situations that once shook you no longer have the same power. Words that once wounded deeply no longer control your emotions. Delays that once frustrated you no longer steal your peace. In my presence, identity becomes clear. You stop defining yourself by mistakes. You stop measuring your worth by comparison. You begin to understand that your value is not determined by performance but by relationship. I call you chosen. I call you beloved. I call you equipped. When you internalize these truths, confidence grows naturally. It is not arrogance. It is assurance rooted in who I say you are. You have faced seasons where insecurity tried to dominate your thoughts. You questioned your ability. You wondered if you were enough. You compared your journey to others and felt behind. But when you sit with me, comparison fades. I remind you that your path is uniquely designed. I remind you that your timing is intentional. I remind you that growth is not always visible but always occurring. Seeking my presence daily also strengthens you for unseen battles. Not every challenge announces itself. Some arrive unexpectedly. Some develop quietly. But when you have cultivated closeness with me, you are not easily shaken. You respond with wisdom instead of impulse. You speak with grace instead of frustration. You wait with patience instead of panic. Confidence built on circumstances is fragile. It rises and falls with success and failure. But confidence built on my presence remains steady. Even when you do not have all the answers, you remain calm. Even when outcomes are uncertain, you remain hopeful. Even when others doubt, you remain secure. This is the fruit of abiding in me. When you seek me daily, your thoughts align with truth. Fear often begins in distorted thinking, imagining worst-case scenarios, assuming rejection, predicting loss before it happens. But in my presence, truth interrupts those patterns. I remind you of past victories. I remind you of promises spoken over your life. I remind you that you are never alone. You may not always feel dramatic spiritual experiences. Some days my presence will feel quiet. But quiet does not mean absent. Growth often happens beneath the surface. Just because you do not feel immediate change does not mean transformation is not occurring. Continue to come to me. Continue to sit with me. Continue to speak honestly with me. Daily seeking builds spiritual endurance. Just as muscles strengthen through repeated use, faith strengthens through repeated trust. Each time you choose prayer over panic, you reinforce courage. Each time you choose gratitude over complaint, you deepen resilience. Each time you choose surrender over control, you build stability. I desire relationship, not routine. I want your honesty, not your performance. Speak your fears openly. Bring your confusion without shame. Ask your questions without hesitation. In my presence, you are safe to be authentic. You do not need to impress me. You only need to trust me. As you cultivate this daily connection, you will notice subtle shifts. You will hesitate less before stepping into new opportunities. You will recover faster from disappointment. You will extend grace more freely. You will forgive more quickly. You will hope more boldly. These are signs of confidence formed in my presence. The world may not understand this kind of assurance. It may seem irrational to remain calm when circumstances are uncertain. But your peace does not come from visible stability. It comes from spiritual anchoring. You are rooted in something deeper than what can be shaken. Do not neglect time with me when life feels busy. Business is often when you need my presence most. The more responsibilities increase, the more vital it becomes to remain connected. Just as a branch cannot bear fruit separated from the vine, you cannot sustain peace disconnected from me. Seeking me daily is not about earning favor. It is about living aware of what is already available. My strength is available. My wisdom is available. My comfort is available. My direction is available. But awareness grows through attention. The more you turn your attention toward me, the clearer my guidance becomes. Even when you stumble, return quickly. Do not allow guilt to distance you. My grace is sufficient. My mercy is new. Each day is an invitation to draw near again. Each morning is an opportunity to rebuild focus. Each moment is a chance to realign your heart. As you continue to seek me, your confidence will not be loud or boastful. It will be steady. It will be calm. It will be evident in how you respond to pressure. It will be visible in how you speak hope in uncertain rooms. It will be reflected in how you stand firm when others waver. Remain near to me. Let your heart dwell where fear cannot dominate. Let your thoughts settle in truth. Let your spirit rest in assurance. For in my presence, you are strengthened. In my presence, you are renewed. In my presence, you are made confident beyond circumstance. When you wait on me, you are not standing still in weakness. You are standing firm in trust. Waiting is not punishment. It is preparation. It is not delay without purpose. It is development beneath the surface. You often measure progress by visible movement, by quick answers, by immediate results. But my ways are not rushed by anxiety, nor are my plans accelerated by pressure. I move with intention. I act with precision. When I ask you to wait, it is because something is being strengthened within you that could not be formed any other way. You live in a world that rewards speed. Immediate responses are praised. Quick success is celebrated. But spiritual strength grows differently. Courage deepens when you choose to trust me, even when clarity has not yet arrived. Patience matures when you resist the urge to force outcomes. Endurance develops when you remain steady despite uncertainty. Waiting stretches your faith, but it also fortifies it. There are moments when you pray with urgency, hoping for instant breakthrough. You ask for direction, for relief, for change. And when the answer does not appear as quickly as you desire, doubt tries to whisper that I am silent or distant. But silence is not absence. Delay is not denial. While you wait, I am working in ways you cannot see. I am aligning circumstances. I am preparing hearts. I am arranging details beyond your perspective. Waiting tests where your confidence truly rests. If your hope is in immediate solutions, your peace will fluctuate with outcomes. But if your hope is in me, your peace remains steady, even when answers take time. I do not call you to understand every step. I call you to trust the one who sees the entire path. When you wait with faith, you declare that my timing is wiser than your impatience. There have been seasons when you felt ready, when you believed the moment had arrived, yet doors remained closed. You questioned whether you had misheard me. You wondered if you had been overlooked. But I do not overlook my children. I do not forget my promises. When a door remains shut, it is because the timing is not yet complete. Sometimes I am strengthening you for what you asked for. Sometimes I am protecting you from what you thought you wanted. Sometimes I am orchestrating something greater than you imagined. Waiting refines motives. It reveals whether you desire my will or simply your comfort. It teaches you to surrender outcomes instead of controlling them. It shifts your focus from urgency to intimacy. When you cannot move ahead, you are invited to draw closer. Instead of striving for the next step, you learn to rest in my presence. And in that resting, courage grows quietly. You often associate courage with action, with bold steps and decisive moves. But there is a deeper courage found in remaining still when every emotion urges you to act prematurely. It takes strength to trust me when others move ahead. It takes resilience to believe in my promise when visible evidence is minimal. It takes humility to accept that my timing may differ from your expectations. While you wait, I renew you. Just as an eagle rests before soaring, you are strengthened in stillness. Fatigue is replaced with endurance. Confusion is replaced with clarity. Restlessness is replaced with resolve. When you choose to wait with hope instead of frustration, your spirit becomes anchored. You may not always recognize the growth happening within you. Waiting often feels like stagnation, but beneath the surface, roots are extending deeper. Your reliance on me is increasing. Your discernment is sharpening. Your faith is becoming less dependent on emotion and more rooted in conviction. These are transformations that cannot be rushed. When impatience rises, remind yourself of my faithfulness in the past. Recall the times when what seemed delayed ultimately revealed wisdom. Remember moments when unanswered prayers later became visible protection. Reflection strengthens trust. Gratitude reinforces patience. The more you remember my goodness, the easier it becomes to wait without fear. Waiting also teaches you surrender. You are not the author of time. You are not the controller of outcomes. When you release the need to dictate every detail, peace settles over your heart. Surrender is not giving up. It is handing over what you cannot control to the one who governs all things. In surrender, courage is born, not loud and aggressive, but steady and unwavering. Some of your greatest breakthroughs will come after seasons of waiting. Not because I delayed out of indifference, but because the fullness of time had to arrive. There are intersections of people, opportunities, and circumstances that must align precisely. I see those intersections long before you do. Trust that I am not careless with your life. I am deliberate. Even in waiting, you are not inactive. Continue to be faithful in what is before you. Continue to grow where you are planted. Continue to serve, to learn, to pray, to hope. Waiting does not mean withdrawing from responsibility. It means carrying out your present assignment with trust in my larger plan. Faithfulness in small things prepares you for greater things. When discouragement tries to creep in, guard your heart. Do not allow comparison to steal your peace. Others may appear to advance quickly, but their timeline is not yours. I write each story uniquely. What I am building in you cannot be measured against someone else's journey. Focus on your path. Stay attentive to my voice. Courage grows in waiting because you learn that you can survive uncertainty. You discover that unanswered questions do not destroy you. You realize that hope can exist without immediate fulfillment. These realizations form resilience. They teach you that your stability comes from me, not from predictable outcomes. As you wait, speak life over your future. Do not let fear define the narrative. Declare trust even when emotions fluctuate. Your words shape your focus. Let them align with faith. Let them reflect expectation rooted in my character. I do not waste waiting seasons. Every pause has purpose. Every delay carries design. Every quiet moment contains preparation. Trust that what feels slow is still sacred. Trust that what feels hidden is still meaningful. Trust that what feels unfinished is still under my care. You will look back and recognize that waiting protected you from rushing into what was not ready. You will see how patience preserved you from unnecessary pain. You will understand how endurance positioned you for lasting strength. But even before that clarity arrives, choose courage now. Stand firm, hold steady, keep believing. I am not late. I am not inattentive. I am not distant. I am shaping, aligning, strengthening, and preparing. And as you wait on me, your strength is renewed, your heart is steadied, and your courage is made firm within you.